Is it really okay to fake it until you make it? Hi, my name is Sadaghiani, and I'm here to help leaders let go of their hubris self and find their most authentic self in leadership. Today, I will talk about stepping into a position as a leader, whether you're new or tenured, maybe you're in a new company or a new role. I want to explore the idea of faking it as a strategy for leaders and whether this really works. Have you ever wondered where the phrase fake it until you make it comes from? Now, the idea of fake it until you make it is tied to psychological and cultural influences, and I'm particularly thinking about social psychology. In the 1970s, psychologist by the name of Daryl Bem introduced self-perception theory, which explains how we develop attitudes and beliefs as we observe our own behavior. Essentially, when we act confidently, even if we don't feel it at first, our minds start to believe in that confidence. It's almost like tricking your brain into thinking, I got this. I have control over this. But it's not just about psychology. Cognitive behavioral therapy uses similar techniques to help people change negative thought patterns and alter their behavior. And here's why I want to talk about this topic. In my first assignment as a leader in an office, I was told to fake it until I made it. I was told to project confidence and authority, even in moments when I was not sure what was to come. I had a lot of uncertainty with the projects and with the teams that I was working with. And you know what? There is some truth to it. Acting confidently really paves the way to genuine self-assurance. Now, I want to say that again, genuine self-assurance. That's a humongous piece to take over. And I want to talk about the genuine feeling in this podcast as well. When I implemented this type of thought, it helped me think that I can do it. I was able to feel more confident in making decisions and standing by them. And my anxiety wasn't as bad as it was before that narrative. And I felt like because of it, I was also developing myself to be a better leader. Research backs this fake it until you make it. One of the famous studies related to this topic is 2010, and it was on power posing conducted by social psychologist Amy Cuddy, along with her colleagues. So Cuddy and her team, they found that adopting expansive, confident body postures for just 2 minutes could increase a person's feelings of power and risk tolerance. While it alters their hormone levels, it raises testosterone, it lowers their cortisol. This research says that faking has this influence on powerful body language, and it could genuinely impact an individual's mindset and behavior. So while I'm going through this study, what I really want to do is share that later replication attempts of this study came through, and they do cast doubts on the robustness of the hormone effects. But what I want to really stress is that the idea that body language influences confidence and performance, it's still influential in the discussion of self-assurance techniques. And we as coaches continuously use that with our clients today. We also have the imposter syndrome to talk about. Now, imposter syndrome is something that for my career, I've hit all the time. It's a topic that has been talked about frequently, especially by women that are leaders in my world. Now, imposter syndrome was described by psychologists named Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes in 1978, and it refers to the psychological patterns where high-achieving individuals, they feel that they're not as competent as the others, and especially how others perceive them to be. They really credit their success to luck rather than them as a person, as their skill. Sakuku and Alexander in 2011 also did a review of this, and they found that individuals experiencing imposter syndrome really suffer from heightened anxieties, lower self-esteem, and the increased risk of burnout. So these effects can negatively impact the overall well-being and really obstruct professional performance. And they emphasize the detrimental consequence of feeling like a fraud, despite what really shows the objective successes that this person has. Now, as much as I want to give full credit to this feeling, I want to share research that may or may not really be on the side of this imposter syndrome study. Some research, there was one done by Dr. Valerie Young, questioned whether the focus of imposter syndrome overlooked systemic issues. So it could be discrimination and bias that contribute to these feelings. Others say that framing imposter syndrome as a personal shortcoming can dismiss broader societal influences that perpetuate feelings of inadequacy. Some of that skepticism isn't just with this imposter syndrome. Even with Amy Cuddy's power posing study that I mentioned, it faced criticism and challenges in the scientific community. There were, as I mentioned, subsequent replication attempts to reproduce that hormone-related finding of the original study. And in 2015, there was a large-scale replication effort that was led by Eva Reinhill, and I may be mispronouncing it, so my apologies. I think it's Reinhill, and colleagues that didn't find that same hormonal effect. It really put the biological claims into question. But all in all, even though the hormonal findings were discredited by these studies, the idea that power posing can influence the feelings of confidence and self-perception really hasn't been dismissed entirely. So Cuddy and the other researchers, they argue that the psychological effects, like feeling more powerful or confident, it still holds true, even if the physiological evidence is still something that's a little bit more skeptical, as I was mentioning. This debate that we're talking about is highlighted the need for a more rigorous method, or I should say methods, and replication in psychological research. And even Cuddy herself has acknowledged these limitations and nuances in her original claim. So why do I want to share this with you? Because it's good to know both sides. Thought process, there are still some of that more scientific pieces that we're still sorting. So while we have these contrary topics to think about, I still want to talk about the faking it till you're making it. I took on this perspective, and it was helpful in the way that I didn't think it was possible. The perception we take in our roles matter so much in leadership. We have within us these so-called assessments that shape our reality. And when I say assessment, I'm not talking about tests, right? I'm not talking about those types of assessments that we're used to. What I'm talking about can be defined by perception. That's a perception that we take of the world that's around us. And with this assessment we take, there are so many pros of this faking it. One of the biggest benefits when it comes to faking it is increased confidence. You are more likely to trust you. You build that self-confidence. The second benefit is your influence and impact. So you're projecting confidence, and that can positively influence your team's perception and trust. Your team wants someone they can go to and feel safe. Oh, that word. Oh my God, how we have loved this world and the corporate culture of today. But man, how poorly we practice it. That safety net. We all want it. We all want to feel heard, comfortable, needed, listened to. When I have gone to my leaders in the past, I want to feel all of that. I also have this perception that whoever is sitting where they're sitting, that they have the power to help me, to support me. I also think that this person is solid. Now, we can do a whole podcast that's going to question how wrong this perception is, knowing what we know about leaders and us being human, right? But let's say for the sake of this conversation, people want to have a leader who they feel safe with. So, while we have this confidence and this level of influence within us, and we have this wonderful way of building our self-confidence, as much as we benefit from this perception, it has its ways of showing up a bit weird when we practice it in a sort of imbalanced way. One of the biggest risks is authenticity. Faking it can sometimes backfire, and it can lead to lack of trust if people feel that you're not genuine. If we haven't had a lot of practice with this mindset, we can confuse it with being cocky, to be quite honest. Yes, we find it confusing because we often think that this means we need to act like robots, meaning we don't have emotions. And one of the pieces is not forgetting that you are human in this journey. No one said fake it like you don't have any emotions. You still need to be vulnerable. It's okay. You can be vulnerable and be solid. And in fact, your team will love to see you bring the level of sincerity into the role. Another risk is burnout and anxiety. There's also the potential emotional toll of pretending to be something you're not for too long. Again, there is the imbalance of the acting, quote unquote, where you are living to what you think is right as a leader. I remember coming into a team where one of my top leaders told me, we need someone to be hard. We need them to be serious. We need someone who can put the rules and push the people. And hearing that, I went home and had an anxiety attack because that wasn't me. I was lucky enough, and I really mean lucky enough, to have a mentor talk to me right after that talk that I had with that leader. And they said something that always stuck with me till this day. Layli, you be who you are and no other person. Be Layli. And you know what? That's what I did the next day. I knew the areas and the gaps that this leader was telling me, but I knew I had to come from a sincere and genuine place. And I told myself that I can bring all of those issues to solutions and be myself. So I looked for areas of opportunity and I ran it genuinely and authentically as myself. And you know what? The results were amazing because no one felt like I was faking it the entire time. Knowing these pros and cons, what's the point of this, right? So faking it till you make it is, well, it helps. But we have to have control over how we practice this. So here are some practical tips you can take. One is acknowledge that you don't know and be transparent about your learning journey with your people. The second piece is develop your confidence through preparation and skill building rather than just projecting it. One of the recommendations is to have a mentor who exhibits positive leadership. So going back to my story, my mentor really came through for me. It means that you are authentic in what you do. And our mentors are the same way, is that we choose people who are themselves, and there's a level of self-confidence and trust that we have in them. So call them, set up a time to talk, shadow them, anything to help you learn and mirror those traits. Again, don't mirror the person, mirror the characteristics that will help you practice authenticity. The third tip is practice selective vulnerability. Now, share your learning process in a way that builds trust without undermining your credibility. So, for instance, venting as a project manager to one of your subject matter experts is not a good idea. Why? Because first off, you don't know where they are in their journey, sure, but also people in the project talk to each other. So find your balance and be selective on who in the team is safe to talk to in case you need a safety net to vent, cry. So in that case, a project owner may feel comfortable talking to the learning and development person. and they are in the same level. This person is trustable, and so you can be a little bit more vulnerable. One of my favorite storytellers, as she likes to call herself, is Brene Brown. She emphasizes that while projecting confidence can sometimes be helpful, it's really crucial to prioritize the authenticity. So she believes that faking it shouldn't come at the cost of genuine connection and vulnerability. Instead, she advocates for showing up as your true self, even when you feel uncertain or afraid, because authenticity builds trust and it builds meaningful relationship, which after COVID has been a big problem. Hence why some of the companies are asking you to come back to work, because that relationship building has gotten more and more difficult with remote jobs. So for Brown, real courage involves embracing vulnerability rather than pretending to have it all together. So out of this short episode, what are some things that I want you to take away? So faking it till you're making it is great, but then not so great when you let go of your authentic self. There are so many complexities when you are leading, and authenticity is not one that should ever go away. I hope this podcast helped and encouraged you in some ways, and I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences or leave a comment or share feedback on this topic in our websites. Contact us at www.invivoleadershipstrategies.com. Every day is a chance to lead with authenticity and confidence. We are all leaders, so embrace it and make your mark in every life that you touch. Thank you so much.